Good morning. Good morning. How are all my East Side babies doing? Oh my God, I miss you guys so much. I haven't been making time to do videos, but I plan to start doing them more. Only because, like, you guys really need me. Like, you guys, a lot of y'all be caught up in the matrix. Like, y'all are really focused on the stuff that y'all see on the news. Y'all need to stop watching the news. Y'all need to tap in and tune in with yourselves. Like, first of all, shout out all my East Side babies. You know, I love you guys. And it's a big deal being the East Side baby for the simple fact that, like, the odds was against us from birth. Like, I know for me, the odds been against me since birth. Like, so basically, like, my parents' situation, very toxic, but it's by the grace of God that I'm still here. My mom, we'll get into that later. But like, my parents, they're married, they're still together, but it was a journey. Like, I grew up in the 80s, and it's like a lot of people dropped the ball during that time. A lot of people that's my age, like, I feel like my generation is like the chosen ones, or the star seeds. For the simple fact that I think we've endured a lot. You know, like, we've endured so much. Like, growing up in the 80s, a lot of my friends that I went to school with, they were like raised by grandparents. So a lot of people in my generation, like, we got the ball dropped on us. Like, somebody, like, a lot of our parents and grandparents, like, they dropped the ball. So we have to pick the ball up, and, like, we didn't know what it was. Like, oh, this is a ball. And, like, now we got to figure out, like, how to do certain things. So that's what I really came to talk to you guys about briefly this morning, because sometimes we don't know what to do. And, like, sometimes if you don't really pay attention to, like, the trauma, or basically if you're not trying to identify with what went wrong, then it's going to be very difficult to come up with a solution. So for me, it's like, I was living my life, and I knew something was wrong from when I was a child. I was like, something just felt off. Even with my parents, like, I didn't always grow up in a 2-parent home. Like, there was times when my father was out of the home throughout the course of my childhood and my teenage years. But even before that, like, when I was 5 years old, I just knew something was wrong. I just knew that, like, everything didn't seem to be, you know, on the surface what it was, and everything wasn't what it appeared. So I used to question a lot of things. I was the black sheep. I still am the black sheep in my family. I'm the first to do a lot of things in my family, and I think that's why I've received so much flack from my family, because the ideas and just the mind that I've had, it was out of this world. Like, compared to a lot of my peers, compared to, like, a lot of people in my circle, a lot of family, like, I was out of this world. Like, my thoughts have always been different, and I've always, like, thought outside of the box ever since a young age. Like, I don't know, it was just hard to contain me. Like, I took a ballet class, like, when I was, like, 3, and I didn't follow instructions. Like, the teacher would be like, okay, we'll do the plie on the bar, and I would be like, what, bitch, I'm doing flips. Like, I was just always different. I always stood out. Like, I never really fit in, and I didn't really notice that I didn't fit in until I got older, and I was like, damn, I'm different. Like, and then dating somebody, he would just be like, you're so different, and that's when it really registered. I was like, damn, I am different. I grew up in South Central, you guys. South Central Los Angeles, California. A lot of people that grew up in this neighborhood, in this area, they ain't had a dome. Like the guy said in Baby Boy, Melvin, they don't got they dome. Like, we have literally been traumatized. We've seen so much shit. We've survived the riots, police brutality, like, Boys in the Hood, and Set It Off, and Menace to Society. Like, these are all films, even Friday, like, these are all films that are based on, like, living in the hood, living in the community. So it's like a lot of us that grew up in South Central, we didn't see the plot. We didn't see the plot twist, but some of us did overcome, right? So in overcoming, since we on the subject, my book here, How to Overcome Your Fear of Being Successful. I'm like one of the few people in my circle. Like, I don't know anybody in my circle that's written a book. I'm not even gonna lie. But now I do. Like, I have, friends that are authors now. But I'm just saying, growing up in South Central, no, it wasn't a lot of authors. No, it wasn't a lot of writers. Like, so it's like we have to be the writers. We have to be the orators of our story. Because if we don't tell our story, who else is going to tell our story? So on that note, I have some calls to make. I have a lot of stuff to do today. But I just basically want to tap in and just start the conversation about that. Like, in our community, we don't share our stories. We don't talk about our struggles. Some of us are too prideful or too boastful that, you can't even tell somebody what you've been through. It's okay. Like, all my friends know my story. They know my background. They know everything that I've been through. So it's really challenging at times to try to wrap my mind around, like, these people know everything about me and they've seen me overcome things, like things that I didn't think I would overcome, and I think it's, to me, it should be empowering to people to be like, oh my God, I know her and she went through this, But in that, I think some people are intimidated by empowered women, empowered people. I think people are intimidated by strength. So I had a video about weak bitches, and weak men, and fuck boys and fuck girls. It's like a lot of us that grew up in the 80s, the 90s, like, a lot of the mentality is really programmed, really, to be honest with you. And I just started seeing the plot early. Like, in the 90s, in the 80s, 90s, it was a crack era. It was a crack era. And sometimes hindsight is 2020. Sometimes you literally have to go through a phase or live through something and then go back and backtrack and be like, but don't walk backwards and don't go backwards in life. But I'm just saying, sometimes you need to just time travel and just analyze things, and see, like, why is it this way, or why did this happen? So in doing that, I discovered that a lot of the older people that should have been setting examples for us, they weren't available for themselves. So I had a lot of resentment and I held a grudge against some of the people in my family and just some of the elders, because I'm like, you guys didn't reach out. You guys didn't, you didn't put any type of effort or energy or knowledge or wisdom out there. And I'm just so not like that. I'm an open book. Like I was saying, like, my friends know my whole life story and all the trials and tribulations I've overcome. So for me, it's hard to understand, like, why people don't share stories. And I think that's what's missing in the Black community, is that we stop being orators. And that's how our stories got told. That's how we learned about things, it's because we told our stories. So right now I'm in the process of, I'm going to start telling these stories. All of them are not pretty stories. They're not happy stories. They're not joyful stories. But the beautiful part of it, the beauty in it, is that I overcame a lot of these obstacles and challenges. And now I could find the joy in life. Now I could see the beauty in life. And now a lot of things make sense. Now I understand why a lot of things happen. So on that note, I will get back to you guys. I'm really multitasking and I'm juggling a lot of different things right now. So when you don't see me, just know that I'm working on other things. But I love you guys and I hope you take care, stay safe, and have a great day. Mwah.